तो अभी थर्ड टॉपिक, मतलब आज का थर्ड टॉपिक का क्या है रिवीजन? ऑक्सीडेटिव एंड क्रेब्स साइकिल का और कुछ नाम है क्रेब्स का? फुल फॉर्म एंड और भी है। हाँ, सो ऑक्सीडेटिव डीकार्बोक्सिलेशन मतलब क्या होता है इसका? द मीनिंग ऑफ ऑक्सीडेटिव डीकार्बोक्सिलेशन, इसका मतलब क्या मतलब होता है इसका? इस दो वर्ड से क्या समझते हो तुम लोग कि ऑक्सीडेटिव डीकार्बोक्सिलेशन हो रहा है? तो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग? कोई भी बोलेगा, एक ही बोलो, क्लियर से बोलो आंसर। और जो भी आंसर बोल रहे हो प्लीज खड़े होके उसके बाद आंसर करना। सो like is defined as that carboxyl group is oxidized. The oxidative decarboxylation, the carboxyl group get oxidized and removed and produced carbon dioxide. So this process is known as that oxidative decarboxylation. The simple meaning, the oxidation of carboxyl group. So what is the first step of Krebs cycle? First step क्या है? हाँ? जोर से बोल। अभी क्या बोला है? जो आंसर करना है स्टैंड अप होके फिर उसके बाद करो। अरे खड़े हो जा। वो क्या होता है कभी? अरे तुम लोग स्कूल में भी नहीं पढ़े क्या? अरे वो स्टेप, व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट स्टेप? दैट इफ यू आर राइटिंग इन फ्लो चार्ट पैटर्न ना, व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट स्टेप? oxaloacetate and acetyl gives citrate. So that acetyl CoA comes from that pyruvate na. From pyruvate it goes to acetyl CoA. Pyruvate to acetyl CoA in presence of pyruvate dehydrogenase enzyme. In allosteric regulation, that pattern na, allosteric regulation. What is allosteric regulation? Simple kotha bolna. In simple words, like that coenzyme of any protein na. So if coenzyme binds to that alternate that binding part na, not in the active part, in alternate side of the protein. If any coenzyme bind with the alternate side of the protein, that in fact of that main binding side, so that is the allosteric mechanism, allosteric regulation. So binding with, not with the active side, with another alternate side, that binding of coenzyme in the protein. Okay, so the first acetyl CoA comes from pyruvate in presence of pyruvate dehydrogenase. Then can you tell me that steps? What are the steps in Krebs cycle? Anyone? So the TCA cycle or Krebs cycle shown as a part of the essential pathways of energy metabolism. So this is the cycle. So this is the final oxidative pathways for that carbohydrate, lipid and protein. The final oxidative pathway. So TCA cycle is a like what kind of pathway? This is catabolic, anabolic. मतलब क्या है इसका? एम्फीबोलिक मतलब? So what are the that catabolic state and anabolic step in TCA cycle? So catabolic step is at acetyl CoA, that is catabolic. Then anabolic is that citrate, alpha ketoglutarate and succinate. So the final common pathway for oxidation, the final oxidative pathway for all carbohydrate, lipid and protein, exclusively in mitochondria. So TCA cycle happens in the cell, the organelle engaged in is mitochondria. Which part of mitochondria? matrix. But there is one exception. For which enzyme? The one exception is like happen in that inner membrane, inner mitochondrial membrane for succinate dehydrogenase. This is the only exception which happening in inner mitochondrial membrane, and the rest all are happening in matrix of mitochondria. So this is the major source of ATP and mainly catabolic with some anabolic features. So what are the steps? The first is oxaloacetate with acetyl-CoA gives citrate in presence of citrate synthase. Then from citrate to isocitrate in presence of aconitase. And the cofactor are, what is the cofactor for aconitase enzyme? Cofactor is ferrous ion Fe2+. Cofactor for aconitase enzyme is ferrous ion Fe2+. So aconitase enzyme is involved in iron homeostasis. Then isocitrate to, the next step is isocitrate to in presence of isocitrate dehydrogenase. So there is one production, the production of one NADP. So one NADP equal to how much ATP? 2.5. So this is the first oxidative decarboxylation step, the first step. Then alpha ketoglutarate 2, and that in previous step in isocitrate dehydrogenase. So cofactor for this is, there is also cofactor that after that citrate to isocitrate, then isocitrate to alpha ketoglutarate. In between there is for isocitrate dehydrogenase, there is also cofactor. What are those cofactors? Cofactors are manganese and magnesium. Mn2 plus and Mg2 plus. Manganese and magnesium ion are the cofactor. And the next is alpha ketoglutarate to succinyl CoA. The in presence of which enzyme? Alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase complex. In presence of alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase complex. So this is the second oxidative decarboxylation step. So there is production of another NADP. So more 2.5 ATP. So total 5. The previous 2.5 and now 2.5 is total 5 ATP. Then succinyl CoA to succinate in presence of succinate thiokinase. So there is production of one GTP or one ATP. One GTP is equal to one ATP. So previously 5, now 1 is 6. So succinyl CoA to succinate, there is one cofactor. In this step for succinate thiokinase, there is one cofactor, and the cofactor is magnesium. Again, the only cofactor is magnesium. Then succinate to fumarate. Succinate to fumarate in presence presence of succinate dehydrogenase. So there is production of one FADH. So one FADH equal to 1.5 ATP. So previous that this is 6, so 7.5. So there are cofactors are succinate dehydrogenase. There are also cofactors. What are those cofactors? That FAD and ferrous sulfur protein. These two are the cofactor, FAD and ferrous sulfur protein. Then fumarate to L-malate in presence of fumarase. And lastly L-malate to oxaloacetate in presence of malate dehydrogenase. So there is the last the production of NADH. So more 2.5. So previously that is 7.5, now 2.5, so equal to 10 ATP. So in whole TCA cycle there is production of 10 ATP. 3 NADH, so 2.5 into 3, 1 FADH, so 1.5 and 1 GTP equal to 1 ATP. Total 10 in TCA cycle. Cycle is clear? Is there any relation between Krebs cycle and urea cycle? What? So arginine to fumarate. From urea cycle, from arginine succinate to fumarate, and it comes into that Krebs cycle. So this is the relation, the fumarate. Then what are the roles of vitamins in TCA cycle? For vitamins, any vitamin involved in TCL cycle? Vitamin B. Which B? B1 is? What is the role of thiamine? The answer is right. What is the role of thiamine? Very crucial role. What is the role? The acetyl CoA comes from pyruvate ना अभी पढ़ा हमने comes from pyruvate. So that pyruvate that conversion happens in under which enzyme? Pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. So this complex that thiamine pyrophosphate, that TPP form, that phosphorylated form of thiamine is the cofactor for that pyruvate dehydrogenase complex enzyme. The main product that acetyl CoA, the product of glycolysis, na? So this is the main cofactor for PDHD, pyruvate dehydrogenase complex enzyme. And another cofactor for like that alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase enzyme. So for these two enzyme, this thiamine pyrophosphate is the main cofactor. So the phosphorylated form of thiamine. So if there is thiamine deficiency, what will happen? There will be that decreased energy production, decreased ATP production, and that hampering in glycolysis. And so why there are neuronal damage in thiamine deficiency? Why? The reason? So because of the decreased ATP production in the brain cells, because of the decreased ATP production. So this is B1. B2, the name of B2 is riboflavin. So what is the role of riboflavin? Which synthesis? FAD. Flavin F na riboflavin, the synthesis of FAD. So it provides FAD. Then after B2, B3, niacin. The role of niacin, NAD and NADH. So the precursor for NAD and NADH. This is the vitamin B3, niacin. If there any enzyme, that any vitamin, B1, B2, B3, any other? B5. B5 is name of B5. So what is its function? So that CoA enzyme, that CoA synthesized from B5. So these are the role of vitamins in TCA cycle. So deficiency of this can hamper the TCA cycle, can hamper the energy production, can hamper the glycolysis. So everything is that correlated. याद रहेगा ये सारी चीजें. रिविजन क्लास भी ऐसे करवाते हैं जैसे पहले क्लास में तुम लोगों का. कंफ्यूजन है कुछ? क्लियर है ना? अभी जितना बोला है, जितने तक बोला है क्लियर है? कोई क्वेरीज है तो बता दो. सुश्री, मेरी आंखों पे चश्मा है नहीं, दिख जाता है. वैसे रिक्वायर्ड है मुझे, -1 है मेरी वो आंखों का पावर है, पर दिखता है अच्छे से बहुत. So this is the chart. Now you can write this if you want to write. So what are those reactions? What are the enzymes? How many ATPs are produced at that particular step? Like that cycle only in a organized form. So this is the chart. If you want to write, you can write. लिखो अभी, जल्दी जल्दी लिख के खत्म करो. 5 बज रहे, तुम लोगों को भी जाना है, मुझे भी जाना है. वो बशीरुल एप्रॉन कहाँ है? वो क्या शोपीस है रखने के लिए अच्छे से बैग में? तुम लोग हमसे ज्यादा पावरफुल हो, पता है. हम बोलते बोलते थक गए, पर तुम लोग सुधार ही नहीं पहले से. फ्रॉम द फर्स्ट डे वही चल रहा है. एप्रॉन का बटन लगाओ, ऐसे करो, वो करो. कितना ही बोले एक आदमी, कितना ही बोले एक इंसान. नवंबर 11 में मैंने ज्वाइन किया था, आज कितना है? हाँ देखो कितना मतलब ढीठ हो तुम लोग. So where is your apron? Why this is unbuttoned? That bath is constant from the first day after 7 months. ಕಾರ್ ಇನ್ವಿಟೇಷನ್ ರವಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಡಿಸಲಿದ್ವಿ. কার ইনভিটেশন আর অপেক্ষা করছিলি তুই? बात ये है ना कि बाय डिफॉल्ट वी आर कमिंग फ्रॉम सेम प्रोफेशन। तो ये जो तुम लोग करते हो ना जो चीजें वो हम करके आए हैं, हमें पता होता है यहाँ ऐसे कर रहे वो कर रहे ना, उसके पीछे क्या चल रहा है हमें पता होता है। वो सारे चीजें हम ऐसे ही करके आए। 5 साल पूरा वैसे इंटर्नशिप सारे कुछ खत्म करके, सारे 5 साल खत्म करके फिर जॉब करके इतना कुछ करके आए, वो तो पता चल जाता है अभी तुम लोग को देख के। हमें तब ऐसा लगता था जब हम तुम्हारे स्टेज पे थे ना, ऐसा लगता था अरे सर को कैसे पता मैं वो पढ़ के नहीं आई, वो मुझे क्यों पूछ रहे हैं, उनको पता कैसे चला कि वही टॉपिक मुझे नहीं आता। पर अभी हमें समझ में आता है वो चीज कि कैसे समझ में आता है। जैसे तुम लोगों को देख के समझ में आ जाता है कि कौन किस में अटक जाएगा उसको पूछो तो।